So Josh, we have like a lot of people on set today.
We do. I wonder, is it our season finale?
Oh my gosh!
It is!
Season finale!
Oh snap! Oh snap! What are we talking about today?
How about we talk to some dope creatives about family, the creative industries, what's grinding their gears, and what they love about being a creative.
Okay, so grinding the gears, inspiration, family, problematic family, even more problematic family. No, I'm just
supportive or non-supportive family.
Okay.
You guys wondering how we handle all of those things? Watch this episode right now.
It's the season finale! All right, everybody, it's the time that we've all been waiting for. It is our season finale. We have an amazing panel for you guys. And why don't we just jump right into it? I'm going to have everybody introduce themselves.
Starting right over here.
So, Mike Peters, screenwriter, producer, director.
Hi, I'm Cherise Cherry-Cola. I am a filmmaker, actress, and educator.
My name is Daniel Coronado. I am a podcast host, creator, and producer.
My name is LaDiamond Blue, and I'm a singer-songwriter and actress.
Yeah.
Nothing but creative all around the room.
It's just, I feel the energy.
I feel the energy. I feel the energy.
So we're going to jump into it, you guys. So what me and Josh have been talking about, and we even have our own little private conversations about supporting the creative. That's what this whole platform is about. So one of the things that I like to kind of contemplate on, especially when I look at different creatives, and we all have a pretty diverse, lineup of fields, is the family support aspect. A lot of us, none of us would be where we are without our family, depending. It gets real.
Yeah.
So I just have a question. So maybe we'll start with Mike. So how has it been as far as your creativity and your family? Are they supportive?
Well, as an overall, I think my family is pretty supportive. It's intriguing though because they'll give me their support and ask how projects are doing. But at the same time, I know that there's a lot of them that haven't proactively viewed the projects that are even out.
Right.
But I do have I consider family more than just like blood. So I have like girlfriends and like really good friends, and they'll sit there and read every draft of every script that I do, and they're just like, well, no, do this. They'll give me notes across the board.
Right.
So I think that support that I get there is like monumental, Right. At the same time, I have like my mom, who is like my biggest supporter. Whatever I need, she's like, I'll do it for you. Like whatever's in her capacity, So I think I have a really good support system there.
That's good. Anybody else? What about?
I just want to speak on it in general.
Yeah.
Family support is a blessing because it's not as common as you think. So it's really a privilege because you get so much further. Like you don't have to go and seek your fans or go and, can you please hear me? Because you already have your number one fans without them even listening to the first song, So it's just a privilege to know you don't have to work as hard because they're going to be your fans, regardless.
From the jump.
Yeah, so don't ever take it for granted.
Right.
Because there are family members who I do good. Go ahead, So when they're there at every show, reading every script, listening to every song, it's just soak it in because it's really a blessing. Because I go to many shows and I don't see mothers, fathers. My uncle would roll in his wheelchair, and it's just like, oh, come on, uncle, come in the front. Like, he'll be smoking, but he's there, and I'm just like, come on, it's a good feeling because you don't really see it.
Right. So is there anyone in this group who may have felt as though they weren't getting enough family support, Daniel?
Now
I'm not singling. I felt the vibe.
No, but it's not that I don't get the support. It's that where the support is needed is not understood. Because coming from an immigrant background, everything that you do is for work and is for the family. You know what I mean? So anything that you do outside of that, it's kind of like
for yourself.
Yeah, it's for yourself, and sometimes it's not understood.
Right.
And so, so my mom is funny because she'll be like, so are they gonna pay you for that? Are you getting any money off of that? What's really good? Which is good because it keeps your mind thinking about money, but. But at the same time, it's like, damn, now you're making me think if I should continue doing this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, at the flip side, your parents are always, not always, but generally, from my perspective, they do help out because she'll be like, look at who I just found out about. You need to look at her so you can interview her, put him on your podcast, la la la. And I'm like, damn, Mom, you rock with it. But at the end of the day, when I might need you, it might not be all the way there, but
Right.
That's her transitioning. She's trying to understand.
You can't really win them all, you know?
Yeah. Even if it is family.
Right.
Even if it is family.
I think that there's a challenge. I mean, I have two families. So like on my mom's side, everybody's super supportive because a lot of us are working in entertainment. On my father's side, they are very much science or, you know, I'm Filipino. So I'm not a doctor or an engineer and I'm not the hot one in my family. So I'm not the model. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like, what are you doing with your life? But I think the big problem is that what we do is not exactly quantifiable to them. So it's like we could be putting out drafts, they're sitting in the chair or like rehearsing or rewriting a song for so long and they don't understand that the final product is worth so much more. Whether it's, you know, creatively inside the juices of where it's going to lead or what it ultimately becomes and how we can charge for that, how we get paid for that. On my dad's side, they're like, oh, so what are you doing now? Like, what do you mean you're writing? Like, what is that? And they're like, I did a one-woman show called Herpes: A Love Story and my whole family was, it was a musical too. He went and saw it. But like, you know, my mom's side of the family was there and my cousins on my dad's side came in, but I wasn't going to invite my dad to see me do a cocaine dance number. You know, like I just don't think he has the ego strength to process that. But I think that there's a disconnect of not being able to understand like what we do. It's you know, it's not a 9 to 5, even though we may sit in the chair from 9 to 5 and work our butts off and having that support. And I see like also my mom will try to be like, oh, here's an idea and here's this, or have you read this book? Maybe you can like adapt it. Or my brother is like a drag queen. So my brother is becoming a drag queen or is doing that. And she's like, oh, here are these ideas. You could be like this person, but they don't understand what type of work it takes and what the craft is and the time that we're investing. And it's not just like one day you wake up and it's like, okay, I'm ready to film this thing.
That's a good point. You know? You kind of touched on that as well. It's like how well they take the seriousness of what you do. Because I'll tell you right now, I get a lot of text messages and emails from family members like, oh, you should interview this person. And I'm like, who's Duck Duck Give? Who is this person? I don't know. What do they do? Oh, they sit on the corner with their guitar. You should have them on your podcast. And I'm like, no, it don't work like that. I can't just do anything and everything. So there's definitely that learning curve. So how do you combat that, or how do you get them to that learning point?
I want to piggyback off of you because I no longer work my 9 to 5. And although I get that insecurity of not knowing when my next paycheck will come, I get that inspiration of knowing I have all this time to be inspired and to work. So I live like in a house full of family members. So I'll be in my room, literally in the dark with my little lights on, writing or listening to music, and to them it can be, okay, you been chilling all day, you ain't washed the dishes. I'm not in there chilling. It's taking all day to get a hook. Like, trying to get a hit in here, you know? You can come in here and try to, but it's the understanding part, because to outsiders it's just like, well, she just at the house chilling, she can take care of them. And it's like, but I'm not chilling. I'm a creator. You know, I have to have my creative space. So all of that. Hey, you ain't doing nothing. That's breaking.
It's breaking your zone.
It starts with understanding.
It's interesting that y'all say 9 to 5 because I don't have a 9 to 5. I have a 9 to 9. Like my work doesn't stop. Because even if I'm not actively working on something, I work in publicity. My mind is constantly working. Like it's constantly thinking of who do I need to email for this client? What do I need to connect with this person? Like it's a constant thing. It doesn't stop. And so oftentimes I feel like that attacks like my personal self, because it's like you can't turn it off all the time. As creators, I think family members don't get that, and they think that, well, you're not getting a check, girl. I haven't stopped working yet. Let me get there. I got you.
Wait till I get that check.
And then you'll probably understand.
I think it's really difficult because what we do seems like it's fun and glamorous to people, especially parents. So they think that because this seems fun and entertaining to me, it can't be a career for you. And it can't be something that you actually want to do outside of work, because the work that I'm doing is not getting me the satisfaction that I feel like I need. And so I think it's especially hard when you have like a language barrier. Not that my mom can't understand Spanish or English, it's just Spanish is obviously easier. And so, and especially if you come up from a single parent household, when they're doing all of the work, growing up, you see them doing all of the work, and then they don't really have anyone to balance out their, so they have no self-care. They have no like, let me dabble in something that I like to do. Their life is just like go, go, go. So when I'm doing something, I get kind of like a guilt trip, like the immigrant child guilt trip. And I'm like, well, I'm taking time where I'm, one, not getting paid, and two, I'm seeing somebody do something that they might not necessarily want to do, but they are getting paid for it. So then you just start to balance things out in your head, and you're like, maybe I don't deserve this. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this because I deserve the lifestyle that my parents had, and I need to keep up with that because if I don't, then I ain't shit. Oh, sorry, I don't know if we can cuss on here.
You can,
yeah, you don't know what
that was. If that's the case, let me break it down. But it does get like that, and you start to feel like you're an imposter, and you get the imposter syndrome, and you're just like, well, I feel like somebody else deserves this because they come from a regular family, and I'm over here.
You get discouraged.
I've been there.
Yeah. How do you fight that discouragement?
Oh man.
Oh, that's tough.
For me, I think it's just like, it's the dream. There's nothing else about it. So it's like, this is my passion. Why don't? You're gonna get no's all day long. So like, I'm not gonna. If my family tells me no, it's the same thing. So let me just keep pushing and just keep going. What's the point?
Is that a harder no? Like, does that really hit you in the gut if your family?
I think it's easier for me.
Really?
Yeah,
I think it's so much easier because it's like, well, first and foremost, I don't really want to have you listening to my podcast every episode. You know what I mean? 'Cause I'm like, they'll be like, oh, so that's what you guys talk about. You know what I mean? Like, so to me, it's just like, I just want to keep family, and if you guys want to support me, go ahead. But I rather the public support me and me be able to just go home to family and be like, hey, what's up? Like, let me keep it real and like, let me be, because I mean.
What about for you, LaDiamond? Because you do music. So I know a lot of like the elderly family members may not understand the type of music. Do you rather keep them separate, or is it certain songs you're like?
That's hard because I come from a music family. My grandfather, God rest his soul, he sang the blues. So it passed down to my mom. She was in a singing group. And then it passed down to my older sister who sang for her young adult years. And then it passed down to me. So they get inspired by me. It's like I'm the one that's going to make it, kind of, you know? So it gives me that. It's a good thing and a bad thing because I feel very responsible, you know? But it's also inspiring because it gives me that hustle, like, mentality. So I went through that moment of discouragement because the security wasn't there, the confidence wasn't there. And we all go through this as creators, where the confidence isn't there and you run into someone that's either better or you run into a friend who either made it to somewhere that you kind of wanted to go. So it gives you that feeling like, well, maybe. So I had to go through that moment, and then I had to build myself up like, well, what do you like to do the most? And then I figured it out, and I was like, well, I'm supposed to do it. Shit, let's do it. Like, you know? But everybody goes through that moment. But it's different for me from my family because it's, you know, it's their backbone. Music is their backbone.
Right. What enough for you? Because life's a joke. That's a very. It's not rated G for sure. No. So your family, are they invited to watch it, or do you say, "Oh wait, I'm gonna have something else for you later"? Or
well, I had the screening, right? So at the screening, the only person from my family that was there was my mom, and it was weird because there's like so much sexual humor in it. Like every episode is filled with the point where you have like women squirting, people masturbating, and it's like it sounds all types of ridiculous, but I promise it's like nothing visual aspect, but it's the mentality of it. But it's still like it's all implied. So it was intriguing to see her watch this because my mom is loud, like not a joke, loud. So like I'm in the back of the screening and I'm hearing her just like and I'm just like her reaction. Yes, exactly.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So like it was cool to see her reaction because she embraced it, but I know she would not have watched it if anybody else did it. Right. But like most of my other family, like my brothers haven't watched it. Like I know my dad is. My dad is a deacon in the church board. He's not watching that. So it's intriguing, like the balance there, you know, like certain things I would tell them like, oh, you should check this out, but a majority of it I'm like, I know where their mindset is first, you know.
That's deep. Yeah, for me, I mean, I have both of my parents are creative, so canvas artists. So I have my father who's like still in it. He's still deep and heavy into it. And then my mother, she's like, I need to take care of the family. I need to go provide. And so I have two different dynamics. And so I get the conversation like, oh, well, you should go work at such and such and such and such, you know. And then my dad is like, well, you're not doing enough. You need to be listening to this podcast and that podcast. And how come you haven't had this person on your show? So it's like, I get like the two dynamics. And then I'm like right in the middle. So I may have to go get me a little 9 to 5 real quick so I can pay some bills. But the pressure is a lot. Because I mean, for me, I don't know about you guys, but when I was younger, I had a creative just essence about me in totality. And so everybody's like, oh, she's gonna be the one to make it, or I'm waiting for you to make $1 million so I can go have a house. And so that for me is a lot of pressure. Now here I am, 30 years old, and you know, I don't have my millions yet, but I'm still working on it. But I think for me, in retrospect, had I done it a lot earlier, when I was younger, it seems like when you were younger, it was like, oh, that's cute. But now you're 30, girl, what you doing? Get your life together.
I have the same thing. Like I'm also from an immigrant family, but not only that, like I come from church folk. I mean, real church folk, where a lot of my life was centered around what the church thought was okay. And I'm not talking bad about the church, but like there were certain creative outlets that I wasn't allowed to explore when I was younger, stuff that I didn't get to experience until I was in college. And so looking back at it now, I have a struggle sometimes with my family where, one, sometimes they don't see me as an adult. They still see me as a much younger individual. And I'm an 80s baby. I ain't gonna say my age, but regardless, you know what I'm saying? So I struggle with that, and then them just not getting it, and to the point where like I am my own person now, and I have my foundation in my own spirituality, and I'm pursuing the creative outlets that I want to pursue, but they don't get it. So oftentimes the struggle is why. They'll ask me, well, why are you and I'm like, well, this is what fulfills me. I didn't want to settle in a generational cycle, if you will, that a lot of immigrant families get caught up in. And, you know, I had opportunities that my parents didn't. I was born in this country, and so I'm thankful for that. And I really wanted to take advantage of those opportunities. I didn't want them to go to waste, you know? And so I knew as a child, like, I was like, I'm gonna not be regular. Like, whatever that means, and that's not to downplay anybody, but like, I was like, I want to go for greatness, whatever that might be, I don't know.
But the funny thing is that your definition of regular could be somebody's dream, or somebody's like magnificent. We have to keep that in mind. You know?
Absolutely.
So that it's interesting, because I feel the same way. Like, we can't be, you know, regular, and we always want to be a little bit better than ourselves. And so what our regular might be could be somebody's reality, and that's where it comes down to the whole immigrant thing that you're talking about, is because sometimes we feel like we should be living our parents' dream, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you wanted to be an accountant, so maybe I should be an accountant for you, you know what I mean? And so that's the difficult part about being a creative sometimes too, is because you just start to forget about yourself, and then you just want to do what your family might want you to do. You want to be molded into who they want you to be, instead of shaping your own mold or breaking the mold that you already are and forming a new one. Because you can have multiple different things going on.
Yeah, and the guilt is real.
The guilt is real.
Gets there. It really gets there.
Definitely.
I have a question, because I get in my own head. So when I do come across, you know, certain family members and they just don't have the same type of aspirations as I do, I'm not gonna lie, I do kind of look at them like, that's it? Like, that's all? Do you guys go through that?
Yeah.
How do you fight? Because I feel bad for feeling like that, but I'm like, well, wait, why aren't you? Girl. That's all you want to do? You just want to work at the mall? Like, that's it? Like,
not downplaying anybody's career, job, nothing like that. But I mean, I certainly go through that.
I thought I was the only one.
No,
I genuinely feel bad, but I think that's just, I think the creative mind, I think they need to scientifically look at a creative's mind versus someone who may not
when
have
I struggled with that, like, I tried to inspire certain family members, or I tried to talk to them and be like, you know what, don't limit yourself. You can achieve this. You can achieve more. You say you want to travel the world. Well, there are ways to get to that. You can do this, this, and this. And I'll be honest, you know, and say that it doesn't go through. It kind of doesn't register. You know, it's almost like, no, that's not
like
real.
It's just a dream.
So then what do you do?
Sometimes your presence on social media might be a little bit stronger with people that you don't know, because people that you've known your whole life, I've noticed it's harder for them to sometimes be like, well, you are an inspiring person outside of just being my cousin, or outside of just being my uncle or whatever. So maybe your words do matter, that type of thing. Because sometimes it'd be like, oh, you're just like my 15-year-old cousin, because sometimes we never aged to our family. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So sometimes you just gotta let them live. Sometimes you just gotta be like, you know, I had to learn the hard way too. You might have to as well, but my words might not register in your mind right now. You might not be ready to not be complacent.
I was just about to say that. You have to be ready. Like, I have a little cousin, and, you know, she was going through this moment of not really caring. You know, in school, not really caring. You know, over here, not really caring. And me as a big cousin, I'd be darned to just let her just not care. So I'm like, come here, we need to talk. Like, what's going on? Because this is the only job is to get a good grade. So I'm gonna need you to do that while your mama's over there doing her job. She's like, I'm gonna be honest with you, cousin, I'm not hearing you right now. But when I'm ready, I know who to come to. And at that moment, I had to respect that. Because I'm not about to keep grilling her, knowing that she just admitted to me that she ain't ready. She ain't ready.
See, I be grilling. I be like,
right, but that's, that's,
I can't.
you can't because you just about to waste your breath. But, she stepped up and when she was ready,
shows
so
maturity.
you just, exactly, shows maturity. So now I ain't got to worry about her, but I'm glad,
Yeah, I think it's about asking the right questions. So trying to find out what they're interested in and what they're passionate about, and trying to understand the things that they like. Whereas or compared to telling them to do something, or like maybe you should try this. Trying to find out what they want. I don't experience that with my family because everybody's Filipino and they're super ambitious, or they're Italian and they're super freaking ambitious, and it's crazy. But with my students, I teach middle schoolers, and sometimes you can just see them. Their bodies are there, but the light's not on, and it's like we're making a movie, or anything, any aspect of movie making or being in school. It's like it's hard to get them to engage. Really, like they're not there. I had a student tell me no the other day. Like I asked her to step in and be the sound mixer for another group, and she didn't want to do it. And I was like, why? And I was like, do you have beef with somebody on this team? And she's like, no. And I was like, because I can go handle the beef. And she's like, no, it's not the beef. She's like, I just don't want to do anything today, Miss Cherise. And I was like,
wow.
I woke up at 5, taught another class, drove to Oxnard to teach you, and I'm 40. So, you know what I'm saying? I didn't even go to the bathroom so I could get here on time. So, I believe me, I wanted to go to the bathroom 2 hours ago. So, I mean, there's times we don't want to do something, but I was trying to light a fire under her ass, but there was nothing going on there. And I think we just have to keep trying to ask them questions and not push, but just, push just enough. I don't know.
Well, to close out this part of this conversation, I'd like to think, if you had the opportunity to speak to family members of other creatives, what advice would you give them in regards to how they treat their creative family members?
Let's start on this side.
How they treat their family members?
Yeah, like how would they? What advice would you give someone? Like, let's say someone and their son is a creative and they might be having a disconnect. Like, what would be your advice to that person?
I would just tell them to inspire that person. Let them know that it's okay to do you. If you want it purple, let it be purple. It's okay to be yourself. Don't limit yourself because you feel like it may be uncomfortable to someone else. Because that's the only way we restrict ourselves, is when we think it'll make someone else uncomfortable. I'm not going to wear these shorts because I feel like it's going to make him uncomfortable. I'm not going to wear my hair like this. It's going to make that person uncomfortable. Don't think about making others uncomfortable. Just if you see them wanting to do something just a little bit, inspire it. So that it can just blossom.
Yeah, I like that.
I would say give them space, don't cloud their mind and their memory of maybe like failures that they've had, because especially coming from a Latino family, like a lot of times when our families don't want to see us progress in something because it makes us happy, they start to push down on you like, oh, well, you remember that one time that you failed that spelling bee or whatever? Well, now you can't do that, so you can't do this type of thing, So like just
that wasn't traumatic.
Giving them space and like making sure that like they can process things on their own. And then when they're ready to come and present whatever they have, like take it. Or if they're not ready to ever present whatever they're doing, let that be so, because again, your work and your content isn't for everybody. So maybe your parent or your aunt that you live with isn't gonna be receptive to it, then maybe you shouldn't show them what it is. Show it to somebody who is, but respect their space and what they're doing.
I like that.
Creatives are sensitive, and being vulnerable is hard. And when we're working, we are being vulnerable. And space is definitely important.
So true.
What looks like success to one person is not success to somebody else. What we do might not be able to be quantified.
Right.
And shoot, there was a really big one that was super important. Oh, just because it doesn't look like we're working doesn't mean that we're not working. Also, a person's value doesn't depend on what they do for a living. So just because we don't clock in somewhere or get a yearly salary or whatever, we might get paid by the project, by the gig, by whatever. But that does not make us any less than anyone else in our family or anyone else that you know. And what we do is really hard.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
That was the word.
Had to get it out.
Yes.
Had to get it out. Man,
I don't want to follow that.
Copy what she said.
No, I know you.
Okay.
That's what we came from.
Right.
Personally, I think the biggest thing with creatives or understanding creatives is understanding the difference of complacency versus ambition. So there's a lot within there that families don't understand, that just because that you see them, like let's say they're as long as they're at the end of the day, as long as they're doing what they need to be doing to get throughout the day, even if they're being creative on the side, still push and support that creativity, even if they're working at Target, and they're at least as long as they're taking care of what they need to take care of throughout their everyday thing. Like you have to do what you need to do in order to do what you want to do.
Yes.
So as long as they are taking care of push their creative, support it as much as you can. Just push it as much as you can, and that's all that matters. So as long as their ambition is still there, that's all that matters. Just push it. Okay. Support it no matter what.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't have nothing else to say because I'm like,
Are
are you watching, Mom and Dad?
Listen, this might be the first episode my mom actually does watch.
Right. I want you to see this really quick.
Oh, man. This was good. This was very therapeutic. I think this is a very healthy conversation.
It was.
That creatives don't get to have.
And just to know that I'm not the only one.
Right.
Like we're all in it together.
Can you repeat the sensitive one?
Yeah.
That's so important.
It is. That's why I giggled. I wasn't giggling because I thought it was.
Oh, no, for sure.
Yeah, you're sensitive, and I'm not. Look, yo.
We're sensitive about our stuff.
You're an artist.
And when we ask you for your advice, that is when your advice is permitted. Please don't come in here well, you should do this, and when it's warranted.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I got this. Like, let me do my thing, and when I ask you for your assistance,
can you do it?
Yeah.
Can you do it?
Also, I want to piggyback off of that. And when we come to you and we're hurting, or for whatever reason we're suffering in our careers, and we still want to go through with it, please don't say this wouldn't have happened if you became a nurse or a doctor or an accountant or a banker or whatever.
It's not an opportunity for them to discourage us.
No.
Console me as my family member. I'm coming to you and let you know.
Because if you were a lawyer and you were struggling, they're not going to say, "Oh, well, you should have went and been a painter."
That part.
It's not going to be the other way around. So why not nurture what it is that you're doing?
Exactly. I mean, this is the stuff families need to hear. I mean, my mom always told me when I was little, she's like, because I used to talk a lot. Like, I mean, I still do, but
You got a
listen, this is how it's funny, because she used to always tell me after church, because I would be like yapping away with my cousin in the back. She'd be like, one day you're gonna have a radio show and blah blah. That's gonna be your career. And I was like, you funny, whatever. And then I kept talking. And then like here we are. Like I remembered when I started dabbling in podcasting, I was like, didn't my mom tell me that I should be doing something like this? So then I'd be like, bringing it back to her, be like, that's what you said.
Right.
So parents, if you see that, I don't have any kids, but as parents, if you see that, I think that that's something that they should nurture it.
Exactly.
Yes. I used to walk around, you guys remember the old little Fisher Price with the microphone and the cassette tape? I used to literally walk around and interview my cousins and my aunties. Like, that's just what I did. And then it manifested into, I tried it all. That's another thing. If you have a creative that flutters into different things, just let them do it.
That's okay.
I sang, I danced, I interviewed, I've done all kinds of different things, and
that's how you learn about yourself.
That's how you know. Exactly.
Our finale is actually a two-parter.
Yes.
So we're going to close out this session, but next week we're still going to be talking to this wonderful panel, and they're going to dive into what their individual projects are coming up. So before we head out, we'd like for everybody just to follow them now and follow them again.
We're going to have all this listed right here, right there. Yes. Share this episode. Tell your mama, your aunties, your grannies, everybody.
All right, so please let everyone know where they can follow you.
Instagram or any social media, call me Mike P.
Dope.
I am Cherry Cole, and I'm a friend of Mike P's, and there's too many underscores, so he's gonna hook it up, and it's gonna be written down here anyway. I'm on Facebook.
The lower third.
Yes. Cherise, Pascual on IMDb.
Hey.
I'm Daniel Coronado, and I host the Plot Twist podcast. You can find me I'm really more on Instagram. I'll be on Twitter here and there, but follow me on Instagram @_Daniel Coronado. And also the Plot Twist podcast on Instagram. You can rate, review, and subscribe on Apple Podcasts and any of the other apps that you might be using as well. And that's us. That's me.
and LaDiamond Blue. You can hit me up on LaDiamondBlue.com or LaDiamond Blue Instagram, Twitter, Facebook like page.
Yes. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you tune in next week for our finale.
Part 2.
Part 2 of it. Yeah, because we have so much more to talk about with these creative individuals. So thank you guys. See you next time.